Hey guys, how's it going? Today I'm going to show you how to make a fire in a wood stove. I'm out in a camp right now. Well, let's say I'm in a camp. I'm actually in my garage. It's pretty cold. Let's say if I was out snowmobiling or four-wheeling or something like that and I'm looking for shelter, I'm going to show you guys how to make a fire in a wood stove if you ever run into a camp and need some heat. So as long as you have a lighter, some matches, some newspaper and some wood in the wood stove or place to make a fire, that's sufficient. This would be some good help to learn how to make a fire. I'm just going to switch this around and I'll show you what I'm doing. Alright, so we're going to make a fire in the wood stove today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack it, like build it in blocks. I'm not going to make it like a teepee, like you can make a fire outside like a teepee or in a wood stove. I find this way is a little bit different. I find it works a lot faster. Building it by blocks is what we're going to do. Is how I have, like, this wood stove here is not very deep. It's more wide than deep, so you would normally, after everything's going, you would put your wood in sideways like this. Okay, but to start it, I'm going to use two fairly thick sticks, not overly thick, but thick enough. Just that's going to be like my brace. Then I'm going to take my newspaper and I'm going to throw a bunch of newspaper in here. I'm going to get some stacked underneath. So I prepped all this beforehand, just because trying to tear newspaper or the old flyers, and then trying to hold the camera at the same time is not the easiest. So I'm gonna kind of tuck this down in there and get some newspaper in there. And I got a few pieces of cardboard. I'm gonna take a couple pieces. This was flat cardboard. I'm gonna roll it up so it kind of acts like a stick. And I'm just going to put like a couple pieces in there, because when this catches, it'll burn a lot hotter than the paper itself, and it'll burn longer. Then I got a couple little twigs. I'm just going to take that, I'm going to sprinkle that around on top, like this. There hasn't been any heat in the garage there in a while, and it's probably around 0 degrees or so. It's cold. You can see my steam. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Alright, so I'm going to find some wood here. I already sliced some of this up. I'm going to find something that has some thin edges where the flame's going to catch. You know, I can kind of break it with my finger. I'd like some smaller pieces to start with, something like that maybe. I got a couple small pieces here. This is all hardwood, by the way. I don't like to burn softwood in my stove. Some people like to use softwood as a fire starter. Okay, so we found some small twigs that I got. So what we're going to do is we're going to stack it. We're going to build it like blocks. We're going to put it sideways. So this goes from there to there. So the flame will, like, as the paper burns, it'll hollow down, and the oxygen will go underneath the wood, then the flames will come up through. So we're just going to stack this like this. And we'll do a second layer. My second layer, like, my stove isn't really deep, so not all the wood is the same length. So it might stick out when you try and close the door, and I won't be able to close it. So I'm going to put that on an angle. I'll put this other little piece in here, just to make that a little bit higher. But we'll put this on an angle. This one too. So, see how I had it? I kind of built it, crisscrossed the sticks. And we'll slide this one up in here on that edge. Okay, and then, oh well, I'm going to take a couple more and I'm going to put it in the back going straight across. So, now I have all my wood piled in. You don't want the wood to be pushing down on the paper, because if it pushes right down on the paper and the cardboard, it's going to smother it. Right now, as this burns, the flames will come up through the wood, and the flames will exit through there and the smoke will exit between the pieces of wood, allowing the oxygen to come in underneath. Now on this stove, the draft isn't the greatest. It's a front draft on the door. So when I light this, I'll have to leave the door open just like a little crack. Like that's sealed, and I'll just have like a little crack here to allow some air to go in, so it creates a bigger draft as the flame starts. You want your flame to breathe to start your wood. So it'd be a couple minutes and then be nice, and flames will be going nice and good. So we're going to let that catch. We're going to close the door up some. We're going to leave just a little crack. Now you see how the flames got aggressive? That's the air passing by the little crack in the door causes that flame. Now if I was to close it, see how the flame changed? It's taller, it's coming through the front, but this stove doesn't really like to light the greatest by just the draft. So I'll leave the door open a hair. Can you hear it? You hear the wind going through the door? Can you hear it crackling? Crackling is the wood actually catching fire. So this would be a few minutes and I'll have a nice, probably let that burn for 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes, right around, close to wide open to get a good base of coals. Then you can pile in some new wood, get the new wood started, and turn down your draft some, so then your wood doesn't burn as fast. And then you'll have nice good heat. Alright, thanks for watching. I'll show you how to cut up some wood there in my next video, once I get some heat in the garage. Thanks. Okay guys, this is about 10 minutes after I started the fire. Now I'm going to open up the stove. Now if you can see how the wood's all burning in there. Some of it burnt enough there that it fell down. Now I still have had the draft wide open. It's burning quite aggressive. You don't always want to have like an aggressive flame like this, because you can hear it. You hear that sucking noise, like the ooh, kind of like a jet. You don't want that, because all your heat's rushing out your chimney, and it could cause a chimney fire if the chimney's a bit dirty. Now I'm not afraid that my chimney's gonna catch fire because I took everything all apart, I cleaned everything. So, but once you get your wood going, I'm gonna let this burn some more, but I'm gonna turn down my draft now because I'm getting all kinds of nice heat, and then the heat will radiate in the stove and it'll heat up the garage. Yes, if you can see me when I turn down the heat, or turn down the draft, the flame changes. It starts to slow down. And then all that heat build up will move slower up the chimney, and all the heat will radiate off the pipes and the stove itself. Yeah. Alright, thanks for watching. That was about 10 minutes after I started the fire. So I mean, it depends on the stove and the way the wind's blowing and the draft is and how big and how wet your wood is and stuff like that determines on how long you'll really have to like let that burn wide open for it to catch decent. So you still got to pay attention to it. You can't just get up and walk away and expect everything to be good. Fires can be dangerous, so always pay attention. Right on.